news, Dean detained and threatened by U.S. immigration for an entire day.
On his most recent trip to the U.S. to perform in a concert in L.A., Dean, at a layover in an unknown city because it hasn't been mentioned where this city was, where he was detained by U.S. immigration, not TSA. It's pretty unfortunate that this happened, and even though that it did, he still had time to perform in L.A. There's a Reddit thread, and the comments were saying at least one or two of the commenters went to the concert and he was off, or he was a little off.
Well, he didn't have time to do a sound check because he got there right before the doors opened. They actually delayed the concert a little bit so that he could get there and be on stage, and he hadn't slept for 2 hours. I think they detained him Thursday.
2 hours? 2 days.
2 days. Ugh.
That's what you meant.
Yeah.
And?
I lost my train. They detained him on Thursday, and they did not release him until Friday morning, which to me seems like a really long time.
I know a lot of you are probably tuning in to find out what happened that you don't already know about the situation. I searched for a solid hour about Dean, reading his Wikipedia, looking to see if he's had other issues with concerts or with travel to the US. I did not find anything other than this instance, which happened just a few days ago. I just feel bad for him.
Well, he did have one other incident, but this was back in June, where there was a sold-out, pre-party concert that had to change venues due to a technical issue. Otherwise, it went off without a hitch. If you don't know who Dean is, let me backtrack a little bit. Dean is a K-pop R&B star who debuted in the US in 2015. I believe it was July in 2015, and then debuted in Korea in August or October of the same year. So he debuted in the US before he debuted in South Korea, but he's a K-pop R&B singer who has performed several times in the US, most notably New York, LA, Chicago, and Austin.
I'm sure there are some of you that are fans of Dean. I was watching his videos. He's got a very, very strong, solid, and high-pitched voice. He's more of, not an alto, what is he, like a high tenor? Tenor 1?
High tenor.
His first full debut was in the US. Even though he doesn't speak English natively, the articles are saying that he doesn't speak fluently either. So that was a disadvantage of his to be detained by immigration if he doesn't speak fluently in English. And I watched the interview of him at KCON. They interview him in Korean. So he's really a Korean artist. So it's a little strange to me why he debuted in the US first. Even though it's a smart move to debut in the US, is where the money is where the most money is.
Yeah, and people here tend to like R&B, maybe more than Korean people do.
An artist is going to debut wherever they can, so if he had the opportunity to do it here, I mean, we talk about debut like it's this natural, normal thing, but I think it's really challenging to get to the point where you're debuting and people know who you are.
Yeah, just wherever you have the chance, just jump at it. That's probably what he did.
What I was really looking for when I was searching about him more was to see if he has any sort of criminal record at all. That would be one of the main reasons that he would be detained or at least held. They did not explain, the U.S. immigration, that is, why they were holding him for so long. They don't have to. That sort of experience going through customs is really, really bad at this point. It's bad when we go to Canada. It's bad in the U.S., and in other countries, it's not so bad. It's not nerve-wracking when you travel to Korea and go through immigration. If, in fact, they need to question you about something, they're gonna be really nice about it. And there's no, I'm better than you, or please come this way and follow me, sir, and step into this room and give me your cell phone. They will do that also, but they will leave you with integrity while they're doing it. And this is one of the things we loved about Korea and that we just disliked about the US. And I know that makes me think, some of you might be thinking, why did you move back? There's so many factors why you make life decisions. This is just one of those unfortunate factors that everyone has to deal with, and we're doing it in the name of terrorism and security. Dean's obviously not a terrorist or is any threat to security of the U.S. at all. He's a single guy who sings. This is what makes me upset personally. I know a lot of you probably feel similarly.
Well, the first thing that I thought of is I was wondering about his visa status and whether or not he has the appropriate visas to do entertainment within the US, which I believe is a P visa, like a P1 or a P2. I don't know. I'm not an expert in US immigration because I never had to file for US visas because I'm an American citizen. But I know that a lot of Koreans who come over to the US can do so for a short period of time, like 90 days without a visa. but not if they're going to entertain and get money for entertaining.
But if they take his cell phone and pull all of the information off the cell phone and they take all his luggage and they don't tell him why they're doing it, would it be because they were checking to see if he had the correct visa or not? Like, couldn't they just check that and see right away if it's correct or if it's not correct? This happened to Oh My Girl last year. We made a video about it, and they just ended up not having the correct visas to perform. They were coming here on travel visas. That was the situation there. They made this big stink like, oh, they got stopped because they thought it was sex trafficking or they were sex workers. We didn't know until the dust settled after a few days and it was just, oh, they had the wrong visa. If that was the case with Dean, why was he held for a day? Isn't the visa stamped in his passport?
That's the big question is, did he have the right visa? And my guess is he did because they allowed him to perform and his concert went on despite the little hitch. I've known that other Korean artists besides Oh My Girl, most notably Kim Bum-soo, Wee Sung, and Moon Myung-jin also had issues with American visas.
Those were several years ago. It just really makes me upset that this happened and then he had to go and perform. I just know that when, for instance, we shoot videos, say we have some sort of disagreement or if something happens and it takes a lot of our energy, then when we go to film, our videos don't turn out as well.
Yeah.
It might not be noticeable to some of you, but it's definitely noticeable to me when I'm editing. And so he's got to go and sing. I think it's even harder than doing this.
And he hasn't slept in 2 days. Clearly, it did have some effect on his performance because people were noting that he seemed a little bit off. I also have to say, though, there's a part of me that is kind of happy that this happened to Dean because he came out as the good guy in all of this and he's getting a lot of free publicity for it. And so maybe for some off chance you didn't know who Dean was before, now you do.
I know, at least for me, I watched one of his videos, so yeah, you're right. Right, because I have never seen a Dean video before until today, and now that he got stopped by U.S. Immigration, I've seen a Dean video, so there you go.
Well, Dean hasn't been around that long. He came in 2015, so he's a relatively new artist, but he's definitely making waves.
Comments down below, what do you think of this reaction to U.S. Immigration being sticklers about basically nothing? At least that's what it appears.
And are you a Dean fan? What's your favorite Dean song?
Click the like button, you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us. Click the bell for notifications, and don't forget to subscribe for more Hallyu Back news. That's it. We're out of here. Hasta luego.
Bye.